What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast, where we are gearing up for AU versus the world. It feels like it has been so long since the announcement first came up, and now we're like, right, when's this happening? And finally, we're getting closer. But fear not, because we are now today going to be talking about the tribes and getting our predictions, getting our little bit of unfiltered opinions. Joining me today, I have the lovely Cara. Cara, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about Australia versus the world. Like you said, it's been a long time coming. I'm excited that it's almost here, and this is gonna be so much fun.
Same. I'm really excited, and we are of course joined by someone that some of you may know. He apparently won a season. I don't know. I've heard this rumor, but please welcome Feras. How are you doing, Feras?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Honestly, Oli, you're so right. It feels like a lifetime since they've announced it. They've really dragged it, I will say. They dragged it a lot, but finally excited to get a date and to actually get hyped about a season.
Yeah, literally. When I say they have been teasing us, it went from that thing of it was a good tease, and now it's like, no, this is ridiculous. Now, just sort it out.
Come on, give it to us.
I am so excited for this season. I can't wait. And obviously, it's a new season anyway, in the sense of this is the first time ever that we've had people from one country going against basically the whole world. So, as a winner and as a fan and as knowing some people in the cast, how excited are you for this season, especially for Survivor AU?
Oh my God, this is so huge, especially for Survivor AU. This is huge. This has never been done. And the fact that, Australia, one of the most well-known Survivor franchises in the world, to be hosting something like this is so bloody exciting. I love that we have that sort of flexibility to invite other players and to make it more of an international game, because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And at the same time, going into this season, I literally don't know who I want to win. I don't know. I don't know. I've got so many favorites, so I'm a bit torn between Kirbys and George. but yeah, no, I'm super excited to see how this pans out. There is no way this will not be an exciting season in any way, shape.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the tribes as well. Cara, what were you gonna say?
And it's also a little bit bittersweet because this is the last season we'll have with JLP hosting.
That's right. Don't even get us started in that.
How do you feel about that?
I was going to say, I think had we done an actual podcast on that topic, I think we would have got cancelled. Something would have happened. I would have had Channel 10 calling me and being like, now, we don't know you, but we know you.
We've heard of you. We've heard what you can do.
Very much so. Yeah, I'm sad. I love JLP. I my personal opinion on it. Did they need to get rid of JLP? No. But that's just my opinion. I'm someone that just sits on the couch and watches it, so that's fine. But Feras, as someone that has been hosted by JLP, how are you feeling about it quickly?
Oli, I don't think it's just your opinion. I think everyone is in the same boat as you. Literally everyone. I think that was one of the more eye-opening moments when I went on Survivor. It was. I can't wait to see JLP. I've always seen him on my screens, and now he's going to be calling my name out. Are you kidding me? I think it was the first memorable moment for every single Survivor contestant.
Yeah.
Be so starstruck by JLP, and the fact that he's not gonna be there anymore. It kind of stings. It's sad. He's Survivor.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we've got some comments in the live chat. Joe agrees, there will be riots. But we are also excited for you guys as well to be in the chat. Please come say hi. You've got Joe in the chat as well saying, hey, he can't wait for the coverage. You've got Gabe already giving his opinions. He thinks that George is doomed.
No.
So sorry, Feras and Cara, because you've got him in your draft. Jenny has a question. Feras, are you still a rebel and haven't prepared by watching any seasons that are past Suri or Tony? Has Shannon clued you into it yet?
This has become like an actual joke, like an ongoing joke of me refusing to watch any other Survivor season that's not on Australian Survivor. And if it's in the past, it's in the past, honey. I'm not rewatching again. Sorry. So anything new, I'll gladly watch. But yeah, no, still have no idea. So cool.
That's fine. Do you know what? I am. At some point, I'm going to come to Australia, and when I do, I'm literally going to knock on your door, and I'm going to go, here are some DVDs, sit down, we're having a lovely
You will
evening.
be the most celebrated man in the Survivor community for me to do that.
Trust me, the amount of like plans that I have in place if I ever go,
Yes.
I'm so ready for it. But we've had a little giggle now. Let's go on to the crux of what we're talking about, which is Survivor AU versus the World. We're here to talk about the AU tribe, which is built up of 7 people who, in my opinion, are icons. We have, I'm just going to get them up here quickly. We have got Janine from Champions versus Contenders 2. You've got Sarah from the 2017 series. You've got King George from Brains versus Brawn and Heroes versus Villains. You've got good old Kirby from Titans versus Rebels. You've got Luke from the 2017 series and Champions versus Contenders 2. You've got David from Champions versus Contenders and All Stars. And finally, you've got Shani from those 3 seasons that I've already mentioned before. But I've got to ask first, Cara, what are your thoughts on this tribe and how are you feeling about them all?
I'm feeling really good about them. I'm excited to see them all interact and see like what that dynamic will be between them, because we already know like a bunch of them have played seasons together. Some of them maybe have pre-existing beef that they had on their season, and then also just thinking like they know each other outside of the games, like they've met before like outside, so there's always those relationships that come into play. So I'm really interested to see like what their vibe will be. But I think like overall as a tribe, they're really strong.
I agree. Feras, what are your thoughts? Obviously, we know you've got a couple of friends on there. So how are you feeling about this tribe?
Yeah, no, as Cara said, it's a very strong tribe. It's a very, very strong tribe. I've got opinions on certain connections compared to other people. So yeah, no, that's it. Other people have a lot more connections than others, and I think that's a very, very valuable thing to go into, especially in an all-star season, and especially when there's such a big discrepancy in connections. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Let's get into these connections, because that, like, with obviously compared to the World Tribe, the AU tribe have got connections. So I've written a load of them down. So I'm going to do the ones I found, and then Feras, if you have any more, I want to hear them, because I feel like you may know a few more connections than us. So the game ones, the basic game ones, you have Luke and Sarah, who both played in 2017, and in that, Luke did vote out Sarah. You then go to Champions versus Contenders 2 that had Luke, David, and Janine all in it together. Janine did blindside David, and then in return, Luke blindsided Janine because Luke and David were besties. The wedding's already forming, and I've only talked about 2 seasons. Then you go on to All Stars, which was David and Shani, where David was dominant and obviously kept Shani in the minority and then voted her out. And then you have Heroes versus Villains, which was Shani and George, which is a very interesting one because at the start, Shani actually saved George, but then in return, George blindsided Shani, and then as a salt in the wound, kicked her out jury. So, looking at the game connections, what are you both thinking? Because for me, I look at this, and obviously, the only person that doesn't have a game connection per se is Kirby. So do we think that is possibly going to benefit her in this? Like, Feras, I want to go to you on that sense, because obviously you know Kirby, and obviously with this, she's the only one that's going in without a game connection. So how do you think that's going to play into it?
I think depending on the personality that's in that position, they can either make it work for them or they can be the number 1 target. It's as simple as that. And someone like Kirby, that is just I will say she's a social queen. I will say, if you've met Kirby, you will know exactly where I'm coming from. She's such a magnetic person. So I think this will benefit her, if anything. I think anyone else, it would have really been hard. But for someone like Kirby, I have no doubt she'll be able to. Like, that's a small obstacle for her. She came out of a season of the most fluid season in Survivor AU history. She knows how to chop and change relationships. She knows exactly what she's doing. So in her case, I don't think she's that much disadvantaged, only because of how good of a social player she is. I think she can flip that to her advantage.
Yeah. Nice, I like that. And Cara, with the game connections I just spoke about, what are your thoughts there on that? Who are you looking at in terms of game connections?
Well, I'm really interested to see how George and Shoni.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never Shoni. I'm very excited to see their reunion on the season and see like what that is for them. Like I feel like that's going to be very entertaining, the two of them, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
But I hope it doesn't hurt George, because I want George to go all the way to the end.
Oh, I get that. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm excited to see that as well, like especially George and Shoni, just because obviously you have George, who is such an amazing strategic player. I am never going to discredit him for being such a strong, aggressive, dominant strategic player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as he has more seasons under his belt, the struggle socially he's going to have, and I think we're going to see that come into play this season, especially with Shoni. I mean, Joe said it in the chat. Like, Shoni saved George about 3 times in that season. So to just get rid of her like that, like I think Shoni is out for blood, and I think she even said it in her previous things.
George and Kirby need to link up and work together.
There you go.
I'll get to them. And Gabe in the chat as well has said Luke has the most connections in this tribe, so he's probably going to hurt some of his friends, which is very true. He has played with obviously half of the tribe. He's played with David, he's played with Janine, and he's played with Sarah. So do we think those connections are going to come into play? Because obviously right now that is, if he was going on, right, I've played with these people, I'm going to align with these people. That's a solid majority right there. So do you think kind of Luke is going to become kind of a pivotal person due just straight connections?
Of course. I think regardless of whatever connections you have, you're going to be affected by it in a good or bad way. But so long as you have connections, you will be affected by it. So I think him having the most connections, and keep in mind, we're not even like including outside of the game either. Luke and Kirby are very close outside of the game as well. So the fact that he is, like you said, that pivotal person to sort of dictating where the connections are going to go, or even how the votes are going to go, I think if anything, Luke is in a very, very safe, good position going into the game.
Yeah. Well, you say that. Gabe has actually put in the chat, Kirby knows Luke out of the game, so that could help her. You're right. And then he's also said that Shoni wants George's head from the previous. So go for it.
Or do you think this will put a target on him? People will want him out because he is so well connected, where they're like, if we just get Luke out, it frees up everyone a little bit for new alliances.
I would say something like that if David and George went there. I think all the other personalities will see that there are much, much bigger fish to fry, and I think he can again twist that into his own luck and hands.
It's going to be an interesting one, because I think I would do the same. Like, knowing all of like kind of Luke's connections, it would make me kind of look at him and kind of go, right, I need to keep an eye on you, in the sense of I need to see who he kind of gravitates towards to. It would be a sense of you kind of have to take a step back and observe what's going on. And if you see him go to his connection straight away and he's constantly going there, that's when I'd go, right, now I've got to cut this off. But if he is kind of doing the rounds, then it's like, it's Luke.
Yeah, 100%.
I got some more connections, because I feel like this is where it gets interesting with the AU tribe, because we haven't just got some serious in-game connections. We've got some serious outside of the game connections. Because for people that don't know, Sarah got David to apply for the show. So there is that connection. You've got David and Sarah. Speaking of David again, David was on a little show called The Celebrity Apprentice AU. And Feras, who was the advisor on that show?
No.
I thought you know. You're looking like you know. He doesn't know what he's left him. So for Ferris's mind, people, David competed on Celebrity Apprentice AU, and Janine was one of Alan Sugar's advisors. So she was one of his judges. So he went from blindsiding each other to them being like, "Hi, I've got to judge you." It was a hilarious time. I would recommend anyone to look at that. You have obviously Kirby, who I know is friends with Luke, as you said, and also George. I know her and George have linked up on very many occasions. Yep. I actually also have George in the sense of he did Talking Tribal. So he was very open with the community and he was able to do your season, Ferris. So there was another time where he was able to connect with the players, specifically Kirby. And then obviously the other big one, which is David was on Deal or No Deal Island with Poverty, which is a other tribe connection. So with these outside connections, how do you think those are going to play into the game? Because I feel like that's where things get a little bit trickier. Because when you look at it, the one person I didn't really name there was Shani. Like Shani's outside of the game, she's kept to herself. She's having a lovely time over in the corner. So do we think that's going to play a factor, or is there any of these outside game connections that you think could do something?
Just to add to that, I think George and Sarah also have a connection as well, being Sydney-siders. So a lot of times we all hang out, in Sydney. So there's definitely a connection there as well. But yeah, no, that's pretty much. I think that's everything with the connections.
Yeah. So, Cara, is there anything there that stands out for you that you're like, ooh, this could be an interesting play?
I mean, I really think if David and Parvati get together and get to be on the same tribe at some point, I really think that is going to be a problem for everyone else. Like, I cannot imagine after Deal or No Deal Island them going against each other. Like, if anything, I think David's going to help Parvati, if anything. So I think that's going to be like the biggest one.
I agree. Ferris, is there anything there that kind of stands out for you?
I think I'm going back to just its roots. The thing that I think is most important is when people are on the same season together. I think that's the most important connection of all. Because anything can happen outside of the game and chats can happen outside of the game, but the amount of times that he has not gone according to plan is ridiculous. So I think at the end of the day, going on an island with such uncertainty, people go back to their roots and where they feel most comfortable with. And whoever they feel most comfortable with is who they'll be playing with.
And to be fair, I could definitely see that with Luke and David because they were so close on their on Champions versus Contenders 2 that literally they became best buds. And I think we saw that afterwards. The connection I'm really intrigued about is David and Janine. Because obviously they were both two big, strong personalities. They worked together at the beginning of Champions vs. Contenders 2. And then obviously Janine saw what was happening and went, I need to cut this. So obviously she blindsided David. And then you have the Celebrity Apprentice connection. When I tell you the look on David's face when Janine walks around the corner, he literally, on the show, went, it was so funny. And throughout the entire time, because David tried to kind of play things, he was trying to be a bit of a manipulator on kind of the Celebrity Apprentice. Janine was having none of it. She was clocking it left, right, and center. So I think that is going to be an interesting one for me because you've got Janine who is, in a sense, screwed David over in two different seasons and two different, completely different shows. So do we think when they get on that island, do we think that David is just going to go gung-ho for Janine, or do we see them kind of being like, right, let's make a truce for now and see what happens? And let us know in the chat as well that.
Cara, go for it.
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, how long ago was this? Like that he was on The Apprentice and like that season aired. Like I feel like it had to be like a long time ago now. So it's like maybe they're like, let's see how it'll work for us, maybe. Or do you think the longer a season's been that you've been on with someone, like the more like you want to get them out going into this?
I think it'll come down to how seasoned the player is. I think I don't see David holding grudges if it affects his game. I don't see anyone holding grudges if it affects their game. Like, we need to remember that these are players who have played multiple times. So anyone that knows anything about Survivor is, if you get so pent up on revenge, it'll most likely bite you in the ass. And I think a lot of these players already know that. I think a lot of these players are going in with a brand new slate, to be honest. I don't think much are holding grudges. They might play it up. Who knows? At the end of the day, I don't think that's their main strategy. And if it is, I don't think it's the best strategy, unless it does, help your game.
Yeah, that's true. I also feel like on Australian Survivor, I feel like the players are usually more open to like working with different people and like not just sticking to one group. So I feel like there probably will be a lot of flip-flopping around with voting with other people, and more so than like we see in American Survivor.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You've kind of brought up a really interesting question I want to ask both of you, because obviously, Feras, you are Australian, Cara, you are American, if no one could tell. You spoke about kind of the dynamics and the different styles of playing. In both of yours opinions, which kind of, I would say, nation's strategy per se, which one do you think could work a bit more in this kind of all-stars returning players sort of season? Do you think it could be the Australians that, like you said, tend to be a bit more fluid and kind of more just kind of go, right, I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go back to here? Or is it going to kind of be the Americans that do have a bit more of a loyalty aspect, in the sense of they get a group and they kind of do stick to it? We see that happen a lot more in Survivor.
I think the way the Australians play are a bit more unhinged and less emotional when it comes to gameplay. And I think that is what everyone is looking for in an All-Stars game. I think in a huge game like this, I wouldn't even call this an All-Star. I would call this bigger than an All-Stars. Yeah. But if you're getting the biggest players in the world, I see it being very unlikely that a lot of the times people are just going to be sticking together and riding to the end. It's Australia versus the world. It's a huge season, and if you're on that season, number one, that's stroking your ego 1,000%, because you're on the most legendary season in Survivor, and number two, you're not going to play a boring game. You're just not. Anyone going onto this show thinking that they're going to fly under the radar or play a boring game shouldn't be on that show.
Yeah.
So I think they're all going to go just as hard as each other. They're going to try either impress each other or impress the world, because they are currently on the world stage of Survivor. And that's why I think it's going to be the best season. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of loyalty. I don't think there's going to be a lot of, riding people's coattails to the end. I don't think there's going to be any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely think, at least the Australian tribe, I think there's going to be a lot of dynamic gameplay where they're going to be doing all of that like they usually do. But I could see like on the world tribe it being more of like an American Survivor game where they kind of stick together, at least in the beginning. Maybe not Tony. I could see Tony maybe being like the crazy one on that tribe and doing different things. But like I would think Parvati and Sari at least would stick together, So I feel like it's going to be like watching the American Survivor and Australian Survivor just in one season,
I can see that happening. Yeah.
Two different styles.
I definitely think we're going to see a blend of styles happening. And I like what you said, Feras, about like it's not just an all-stars. It would be like the Olympics of Survivor at this point. Like you've got the best of the best. Like you've literally got about 5 winners, I think it is, because you've got 4 on the World Tribe and obviously the one lone winner in David on the Australian Tribe. So it is definitely like the Olympics of Survivor. There was a comment that I need to find.
That seems like a good reason to go for David first.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very true. Do you
find any reason? Yeah.
So actually, I'm going to leave that comment for actually something I was going to say later on. It was this comment from Gabe that I really looked at it. If there is one player who could break up the Luke group, it would be Sarah. And that's interesting to me because I do feel like one of Sarah's strongest connections is Luke. Do we think that's going to happen? Because I am a Sarah stan. I will ride or die with Sarah until the day that I'm 6 feet under. But when she played in 2017, she was a fluid player. Like she was happy. She was riding the middle so well. Like there's a reason she's been put on this season because she knows how to ride the middle so well. And we saw her in that season kind of want to go for Luke anyway. She was throwing the seeds out. It did ultimately backfire. So do we think that she's going to try and do that again? Or is she kind of going to be like, right, let me see what I can do and work with Luke about. I know it's only a very short season, but there's still plenty of time for strategy and all that. So what do we think about that sense?
I think she definitely has potential to break the group up 100%. And again, keep in mind her connections as well, her outer game connections. I don't think people realize how many connections Sarah actually has. Like, I don't think people realize that Sarah and I are good friends. Like really good friends. Like a lot of people won't realize who actually speaks to her. And I think her being such a lovable person and character with that many connections could be dangerous. And I think, and I do think coming off her season, she would want to do something bigger and better. So she definitely has the potential to. She's got the tools to. It's just a matter of she actually executes it.
I agree. Cara, have you got anything to add?
I mean, it sounds like if anyone's going to do it, it's her. So I'm excited to see. I feel like I see no reason why she wouldn't want to even, not that there would be sides, but like why would you want to play with that group? You know, like 100%. When you probably have better odds playing with the other people and then doing your own thing.
Definitely.
Or even flip-flopping.
Yeah. And I feel like Sarah has the most agency to maybe do that, apart from maybe I'd say Kirby. Gabe kind of added on to his comment saying Sarah can gather the less connected people. If the Luke Alliance doesn't benefit her in the long run, she'll break it up, which that would be very exciting to see just because anything Sarah does, I will always stand. We have a comment from Joe about the previous topic. The Australians definitely know how to play sneaky and inconspicuous very well. Don't know who he's referring to at all, but there's someone. So we've kind of spoken about the connections and we're really dissecting that. But I want to move on to the next kind of thing that we're looking at, which is what is everyone's biggest obstacle? I've seen so many podcasts recently being like, oh, this is their strength. This is how they're going to do really well. This is why they're so great at the game. They've all returned. We all know they're going to be great at the game. They're all mothers. They're all kings. They're all icons. But what is their biggest game strategy? Like, what is their biggest hurdle going into the game? And I want to talk first about George. Because I feel like he has got maybe the most hurdles. So, Feras, I want to start with you. What is George's biggest obstacle coming into this game?
I think, oh my God. Like, I was just going to say, he just needs to make sure he doesn't get voted out on the first episode. Like, that's his biggest fucking obstacle at the moment. But, like
or get hurt the first one.
So the interesting about George is not only is he proven to be such a strategist and clearly a strategic threat, but he's shown it as well. Like the first season he was on, he made it to the final. The second season, like if everyone thought that was a fluke and he just made it through, the second season he made it to top 4. So to be able to be known after your first season as a huge player, and your second season to make it to top 4 makes absolute no sense to me. And the fact that people have seen that and putting 2 and 2 together, thinking, George won't make it far again. He most likely could as well. If anyone can do it, it's George. To make it that I don't know if he played the most days in 2 seasons or not, but I'm pretty sure that would make sense if anyone's played 2 seasons.
No. Technically, Sean from because she's the only player to go to the finals twice. Yeah,
but to be a player like him and to make it that far, I think a lot of people are going, and I think this is going to be the biggest. A lot of the obstacles for a lot of people, it's going to be ego and screen time, and it's going to be wanting to be the main character. And I think George, of all people, will want to be the main character, and I think that'll rub a lot of people the wrong way. But in saying that, I genuinely think his biggest obstacle is his connections. He's going in anything with not much, to be honest, not much at all. And if anything, the negative connections. There's negative connections.
Yes.
Not saying that there's beef or anything, but it's saying I want to be the greatest, not you. You know? So that, and like for example, George, I don't think he's ever spoken to David before, but I'm sure David will be going for George, and George will be going for David. Like, I think it'll be a battle of the egos and who wants to be the main character. And I think that's a huge factor why someone will want to get George out, especially in a season filled with star-studded, legends.
I completely agree. Cara, before you speak, James in the chat just wants to say hi, Feras.
Hey, that James, how are you, buddy?
That was all. Cara, what do you think is George's biggest obstacle?
I agree. And like in the nicest way, like I love George. Like he is like one of my favorite players ever. Like Feras said, like watching him on his first season, seeing him get to the end, that was insane. And then seeing him make it far the second time was even crazier. Like the fact that they let him get that far is insane. Yeah. So like if anyone can do it, it is George. And I do feel like the one thing that will probably get in his way is his ego, and like he knows he's good at the game, like he knows he can do it, and I feel like that could probably rub people the wrong way and be a reason to want to vote him out. But like also, so like he's good, right? Like he's really good at the game, he's really good at the strategy and everything, but like is he the biggest threat? Like he's maybe not the best at the challenges. Like do we think he's the biggest threat on that tribe that people are going to be like, we need to get George out? Or do you think maybe they'll just be like annoyed by him possibly?
I think it's a bit of both. I don't think he's going to go in as the biggest threat, but I think because of that, it's going to annoy him and he's going to be like, no, I'm the biggest threat.
Why do you
why? And I think that's what's going to hurt him. For me, George's biggest obstacle is going to be Shawnee. I genuinely think his biggest obstacle is going to be Shawnee, because I think, again, it's Shawnee. Like you've got George, that's the amazing strategic player. You've got Shawnee, who is an incredible social player. Like I say, one of the best social players Survivor franchise has ever seen. Like she's incredible, and I think we've seen her before get her way so many times. So I definitely think, like Feras said, I think his previous connections, but the more negative ones, I think are gonna be his biggest obstacle, because he's gonna have to get past people kind of going, do you know what? No, I can't be bothered. Like straight away, there could be people that just get on the beach, see him, and go, nope, shutting that right down. So that's why I worry a bit for him. I feel like we could talk about George for ages, but I want to move on to Janine, because I'm interested to know what you both think Janine's biggest obstacle is going to be. And Cara, I'm going to start with you.
So I don't know much about her, but it seems like her biggest obstacle might be David going into this. Yeah, I don't know that much about her. It seems like she was the godmother, right? That's her thing. So it sounds like she has a big reputation, so that could be not great for her going into it.
I think from what I can see with Janine is she seems like the type of player to be, I would say, loyal to an extent, but I would say she would rather choose to play with the players she knows rather than the players she doesn't, and I think that could hurt her. Like for example, she doesn't know George, hasn't played with George.
No.
Same thing with Kirby. Same thing with Sarah. So I think that could hurt her being too loyal to the people she's already played with. And I think that might be her downfall, not being open to new connections and establishing new connections.
Do you know what? I had a theory, and then funny enough, it was Gabe in the chat kind of perfectly said it. Janine, the godmother, really likes to be in charge. That is my worry with Janine. I think her biggest obstacle is the fact that she does, like, during Champions versus Contenders, she was in charge. And if anyone was trying to, like, disrupt that, she was like, no, please go away. And then went out the game. So I feel like, especially in this shortened season, I feel like that could be one of her biggest obstacles, where if she's so committed to just being in charge constantly, that could hurt her, because you've got people like George, you've got people like David, even people like Luke who love to be in charge. Even Kirby, I know Kirby likes to.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you and Kirby, literally, it was the battle royale. Hilarious. But you've got so many people on that AU tribe who do like to take charge, and I feel like if Janine kind of goes against too many people on that, I think that's where it could kind of hurt her. I do just want to bring up a couple of chats before, because we didn't really talk about what people said in the chat. Gabe said that George is the best Australian Survivor strategist. That man can make 100 of plans for one. If anyone can survive a horrible spot, it's him. You then have James, who said it probably won't happen, but he wants George and David. He thinks they should work together. If I've got one prediction, those two ain't working together. There's going to be no way. And this one from Joe that I found hilarious is George's biggest hurdle is to get over this season is learning how not to. Bless him. I think Joe has a point. And then Gabe has also said, I believe they work together. They can work together, I think he says. And Janine votes out David when it benefits her the most, which I could see happening.
Yep.
But we're going to move on to our next person, which is, I've moved it, Luke. So we know he's got a lot of connections, but what do we think his biggest obstacle is going to be? I could go first, because I think his biggest obstacle is going to be his connections. I think he's going to have to really separate his connections and kind of go like, I know most of you personally, we're in a game. And he kind of, I think if he plays into that in the game, I think that could hurt him, especially if he was able to go deep. So I think his biggest obstacle is going to have to kind of be like, right, almost get into game mode. If he lets his heart play too much, which I haven't seen him do before, but I think in this particular season, it potentially could. That's where I worry for him. I don't know what either of you two think could be Luke's biggest obstacle.
I think that's such a good point, Olive, because I think it's his it might be his downfall, the amount of connections he has, which is interesting. Only because so Luke is seen as a very laid back, cheeky, personable, everyone loves Luke, this could flip into a jealousy sort of thing. This could flip into, I see Luke having laughs with David, and then I see Luke's having laughs with Kirby, and then George, and then Janine, and then it's like, okay, Luke has got a lot of connections, and it seems genuine. But if I see him laughing with every single person individually in the tribe, I'm going to be like, You've got some agenda going on. You're using your charisma. Where assumptions come out of nowhere. So the amount of connection he has could actually worry a lot of people, which again could be his biggest obstacle. And a lot of these people are aware of that. They're all aware that at some point or another, I think almost everyone has a connection with Luke. So I think he does need to establish who his people are. I think he needs to take a step back. If anything, he needs to tone down his social game in a tribe like this. Same thing. Like if I was going on an all-star season and I was known to be like this cheeky individual, I would be sure to play down my persona, not be as personable as people might think I am, to be less of a threat. So I think that might be obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the both of you. I think, if anything, like I do think like the connections that are weaker than some of the other ones that we know could hurt him and not be good for his game, because obviously if you see him closer with other people, you're not going to like that, and then you're going to try and target him for that. So I think it's probably going to be maybe the weaker connections that he doesn't have, or the weaker connections with the people.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something in. I'm saying all it takes is for one person to plant a seed in someone else's head. So all it takes is for Kirby to go up to George and say, honestly, go just watch Luke for the next day and watch how many people he speaks to, and then come back to me tomorrow. That's like something small like that, where you don't need to explain yourself and people can see, it's so much more powerful than you actually talking it. And Luke, one of those things, his strengths are displayed out in the open and not, with sneaky strategies or whispers or anything like that. Everyone can see Luke. So sorry, I just wanted to add that.
No, I completely agree with you, because his strategy is almost like hidden in plain sight. Like his strategy is being really social, talking to everyone, getting all of this going. But all it takes is for someone to kind of actually take that moment to breathe, step back and kind of look and go, what's the one thing I'm noticing? Everyone talking to Luke. And that's where people go, right, like you said, just putting the bug in the air. So I completely agree. I've got to say the chat is going. Ruggles just wants to say hi, Feras.
Hey, Ruggles.
And just to boost your ego as well, Cole Saint says you should have been on the season. So we've got some comments. Gabe thinks Luke loves doing crazy TV moves, and they could backfire on him, which I agree with. I think that could be a thing for him. But James does think that Luke will go far. And Ruggles says Luke knows everyone, but people will use him and ditch him. So I think that's also something that Luke needs to be prepared for. Because I think if he is going to utilize his connections, I think he has to realize that people will potentially just get rid of him if and when they need him, because he could be looked at as someone expendable because of just purely because they have a connection with him.
He needs to find the people that don't think that.
Yes. Right. We're going to move on to, as Matthew would say, the lovers' quarrel. It's Kirby. So I'm going to straight away, I've got to go to Feras. Feras, what do you think is is Kirby's biggest hurdle?
I think her biggest hurdle is, if I'm comparing it with the rest of the tribe, Kirby's been on one season, and the only season she's been on is probably the worst season you can use to study Survivor if you wanted to. It is such a fluid season. So I think her obstacle is going into such a different season compared to Titans versus Rebels, on a whole new level of difficulty and strategy and emotions. And I think if she can adjust to such a different change in style of game, she will do incredibly well. But I think coming off such a ridiculous season like Titans versus Rebels, which gives such a false view of what Survivor should be, in a way, that could hurt her. Like she was the biggest player in our season. She literally was. She was the main character. So going into a season like this, number one, not knowing if you're going to be the main character. Number two, whether or not the same sort of players are the same in Titans versus Rebels, which absolutely not. So I think her view of what she's going into could be skewed, but she's a switched on enough person to be able to understand that and understand she is working with big players and to downplay herself, which is what she's really good at. But her lack of connections and her coming off a season that arguably is probably the worst season to start in terms of getting back out there again, I think that would be her two biggest obstacles.
Yeah, I get that. And Ruggles does agree with you that Kirby's connections are her kind of almost strength and weakness.
Yeah.
Cara?
I agree. I mean, one thing about Kirby, like on Titans vs. Rebels, she didn't really know Survivor before. That was the first time like she was doing anything like that. And like to adapt so well and be such a huge player coming in, not knowing anything previously, I think is so impressive. Yeah. So like coming into this is also like a whole different type of playing field. Like everyone else has at least played with someone else on the tribe, with at least one person. So that's like a whole nother dynamic now that Kirby's going into not having that. So just that alone, I think, is a struggle that she'll have. But like if anyone's going to adapt, I think Kirby will be able to. If 100%. Anyone can adapt to it, I think Kirby's going to be able to do that and figure out a way. Because if you can figure out a way without even knowing Survivor, I feel like you can figure out a way with the biggest players.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I agree with what both of you said about her connections. I do have a slightly different one, which I haven't really heard most people mention, which is recency bias. So because the Titans versus Rebels had just aired, and then it was like 3-4 months afterwards they then went and filmed. So Titans versus Rebels was fresh in everyone's mind, especially for the AU players. So you see Kirby on that mat and the beach, you kind of already know how she's played. So I think for me, that would be her biggest obstacle, is she's going to come into the game already with a very big recency perception, and people are going to remember her. She's not going to be able to hide straight away. As much as I think I know Kirby is an amazing social player, and I think she has the ability, if this was any other season, to go under the radar. I think purely because of how recently she played in terms of time frame, I think that could put eyes onto her, because people are going to remember her and she's not going to be able just to slide under the radar straight away.
But I think it comes down to the question of, I get, she recently played, but I think it depends on how she played in that recent game as well. So, for example, if I saw Kirby and I knew I was going to go back on the island with her after seeing her season, I would love to play with her and use her to take out a George or a David or anything. So how she played in her season as well also should dictate a lot about the recency bias. If she was known to be the player that backstabbed everyone and made it far, 100% she'd be a huge target. But I don't think she was known for a huge rival and to be a strategic player and a smart player. But to be honest, if I'm going on a tribe filled with legends and there's one person with no connections that has a strategic mindset, I'm scooping her up. I'm not voting her out.
Oh, yeah. No, Kirby would be the one person I would be like, I need to work with her immediately. Like, that's the one person I need on my side before anyone else gets to her and takes her, because she's the one person who doesn't know anyone, who has no pre-existing connection. So that's the perfect person to align with.
And she's good. Those answers, yeah, I completely appreciate those answers. And Gabe has just said the recency is scary. However, there are bigger egos clashing first, which I can completely agree with. Gabe also said that Kirby likes spending her social capital quickly to get away with making moves. So that could be a thing, because I do remember in Titans versus Rebels, she would use her social capital quite quickly. She'd make her big move, and the target would be on her, and she would have a bit of heat. all she needs is just those couple of rounds to get by, and then she can redo it. But obviously, with this being quite a shorter season, that is where it could backfire. And Ruggles in the chat says there's no way they will boot her first. Janine may mother her, which I would not be mad at all. That would actually be quite good to see. Okay. Our next person, we are going to the only winner on this tribe, Mr. David. Mr. David, the golden god himself. So, Cara, I'm going to go to you first. What is David's biggest obstacle?
I think it's probably that he is the only previous winner on the tribe. I think that is that's one big thing where people are like, well, he won. None of us have won. We could have a new Australian winner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get him out. So I feel like that's going to be a big thing for him. And I feel like in general, he's just like a big player personality that people would just be looking at him. But I definitely think him winning is big.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Feras, what do you think?
I think his biggest obstacle is everybody wants to claim David's head. Everyone wants to be the reason why David got eliminated. I'm sure of all people, George would love to be the person that said, I got David out. Kirby would be the same. Anyone else on the tribe would be the same. So to want to have such a huge name on your resume, not only in the game, but outside of the game as, the guy that voted David out, the guy that finally beat David, or the girl that finally beat David. I think that's his biggest obstacle, to be honest. And he is so, I think almost everyone agrees that he's definitely top one or top two in Australian Survivor, and everyone understands and sees that. And if you're a player as well, you're going to want that on your resume even more. So his biggest obstacle is literally everyone gunning for his head, just for the sake of having their name on his resume, his name on their resume.
Yeah. I think I actually completely agree with you, Feras. Like, I think his biggest obstacle is everyone is going to go after him. Everyone is going to want his head on a silver platter. For some people, I think very validly so. So it is going to be that he's just going to have to kind of more so, possibly more than George, just figure out a way to get past that first tribal council that whenever they go to it. Because I think if they do go to it and he has no protection from like an idol or anything, bless that man. If he has not got the connections, I worry for him. I also think that his biggest obstacle, and I don't mean this to sound as mean as it's going to come across, but his ego. The man has got a big ego, and I know we're saying this with like George on the cast as well, but I do think that David's ego especially is going to be his biggest hurdle, because I think he's going to come in knowing what he did in All Stars. Like he played an amazing game in All Stars. There's no denying that. But I think in this Olympics of Survivor, if you come in thinking that no matter what, you're going to be able to get away with it, that's where I worry for him, because he thought that the first time and Janine went. So he already knows not to come in like that, and he did that in All Stars. I'm just not sure if he's going to do it in this season. I do feel like he's going to come in feeling a bit more kind of confidence.
Keep in mind. Sorry, Carl, go for it.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, keep in mind, he's coming off a high of ego. He's just won the Deal Island. If anyone is at the height of their ego, it's him at that moment. And honestly, I'll be honest, I'd be the same. If I just won $8 million and I'm known to be one of the best Australian Survivor players, and I've also won Australian Survivor, and I've worked with Parvati, and I ended up winning this huge show in America, and now I just got called for Australia versus the world. Do you think he's not going to go in thinking that he could dominate anyone, anything, any game at any time? Of course he is.
Yeah.
You're human.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. I mean, the chat is going off. You guys are doing great. Ruggles, love David. He can't win, but I think he is. His strategic mind is as good as George's. We've got some more. David is just too big of a threat. Great socially, physically, and strategically, and is a TV hog, which I think is very true. Huggles can see him sacrificing himself for Luke or even Sarah. I don't see that. I've got to push back on that, Ruggles. I don't. As much as I know that David has got all this money and he doesn't need all of it, the man wants the glory. The man wants the 2 titles. So no, I do have to push back on that, Ruggles. And Gabe says that David is the only winner. His reputation as Australian Survivor's best winning game could screw him. Plus, he's all about playing TV game, which I agree. I think, especially in kind of like an all-star, like returnee season, going and playing a TV game is going to get you gone quite quickly. We've seen it happen before in so many different iterations. Like even at all-stars, people wanted to play a TV game straight away. Perfect example was Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers really wanted to come in playing more of a TV game in that season, and it did screw him. James has just put in the chat, I don't think he would betray Luke, but Janine and Sarah, I think he would be fine with. And I agree. I think David would do that with a smile on his face, to be honest. We've gone for him. We've got 2 more people, so I want to get there. So the next person is someone that he might have fun betraying, allegedly. Sarah. What do we think Sarah's biggest obstacle is coming into this game? I agree. I agree with the silence, but I say that just because I do think Sarah is coming in a little bit more underrated. And I think I've said this before, if anyone can play the under the radar, Sarah has that ability. I think Sarah's biggest obstacle is if she comes in and tries to play the exact same game she did in 2017, it's going to bite her, because I think people already know that she's good at playing the middle. So if she tries to go to the middle straight away and is clocked, I think that's what could hurt her. Yeah. But at the same time, she can do no wrong and she's mother.
I don't know. I mean, she's the youngest person on the cast. I don't think that'll mean anything, but she is.
I think her biggest obstacle, I can't. So here's what I'm saying. With someone like Sarah of all people has the most blank stuff. What I mean by that is she could literally be whoever she wants to be a second time round, and people won't question the fakeness or anything like that. So, for example, if I see George being, really humble and not doing much, I'd be like, okay, no, he's faking it, Yeah. But Sarah, I think she has the ability to be whoever she wants. And I think after coming off her previous season, she's going to want to be a bigger player.
Yeah,
I do think that. I don't think anybody that has done her season or has played like her and then gets invited to a season like this wouldn't want to play bigger. My biggest worry for her is that will that not get to her head, but will that be her downfall? Will her wanting to play bigger and a better game, whatever it may be, or seen as I'm sure whenever someone goes back, they want to be seen a certain way. And I'm sure Sarah wants to be seen in a certain way, whether it's, to be this social queen or a strategic player, whatever it may be. And I think with all these other people, that might be her downfall. She might overreach. But in saying that, even this obstacle I'm saying isn't completely overreaching. I think she's actually one of the safest.
Yeah. Maybe she gets in the way of herself. Kind of.
Well, yeah. I think Ruggles and Gabe in the chat have made kind of 2 kind of points, maybe. Not to say that you guys haven't in the chat. Ruggles has said, I think Sarah doesn't have an obstacle besides being an easy vote. Which, again, I'm not sure. I think it's the easy vote in the sense of, again, she, like you said, Feras, she kind of does have this blank slate. So it's kind of like, are people going to see that and then kind of go nah, we're good? I'm not sure. And then Gabe says, Sarah comes in with the most to prove. She can't get along. She can't go along with Luke's crazy plans again. That's what got her voted out in the first season, which it did. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, her, Luke, and I believe it was Jericho, there was a big split. She was in the majority of a free vote. The free votes were the majority to get out. I believe it was Tessa. But somehow all the heat went to Sarah, and that's what got her voted out. So I do feel like maybe it could be that because she may feel like she's got the most to prove coming in, that could maybe be an obstacle for her to be like, I don't have to come in straight away, all guns blazing. Because this is going to sound weird, and it's a tiny bit, stay with me on it. Feras, you won't know this. In Survivor US, there has been an archetype when it comes to returnee seasons and the winners. So like All-Stars, fans versus favorites, even kind of game changers. The person that kind of won was this out of left pocket pick. And people kind of went, really, this pick? Like, oh, like they were excited for the pick, but they were like, oh, this is an interesting pick. And I feel like Sarah is that pick. So I think that could be her hurdle for maybe the world, like world players. People like Tony, people like Suri, specifically people like Poverty. Because Poverty was the out of left pocket pick for Micronesia. She went on to win that season. Like Poverty could see Sarah in that kind of archetype and go, I know what can happen here. No. That could be the only possible thing like that could happen. Ruggles has also said she's waited so long, so may go too hard too fast. And Feras, I need to pet your ego here. Apparently, Haunted Bottles saw you in the title and clicked away half through another video because he wants to see you. If there's one thing I know, it's just we'll pet the ego there. Does anyone else have anything else on Sarah?
I'm excited to watch it. That's it.
Yeah.
Me too. Not like on her specifically, but like I am like interested in like the age range of people. Like she is the youngest one, but she's not like that much younger than everyone. But like, do you think them all being like an older cast like will change the way they play or anything like that? Because they're all like in their 30s and up.
I think that'll be a factor in an All-Stars game.
No.
I think there are so many other factors that people would much rather focus on. Whereas in like such a newbie season, in like the first couple of episodes, it's always, the easy vote is the younger or is the older person, in a game like this, I don't think it's an interest. I think it's interesting, but I'm not sure how much of a factor that'll be. Who knows?
No, I don't think it's going to be as big of a factor. Like, yes, I think she's the only one that's obviously like, she is the youngest on the AU tribe. I can't remember if she's the youngest overall, but I don't think that's going to play as big of a factor as it possibly is. I think the only thing that would play a factor is obviously how short the game is, because it's only, I believe, 16 days. That's where it's like you've kind of got to hit the ground running. Okay, we're going on to our last person now, which is the girl in the sundress. It's Miss Shani. She's gone back to her red dress, which I appreciate. I like that she went back to her kind of original. It was like a little nod to her original sundress. Shani is arguably one of the biggest players known in Australian Survivor. So what is Shani's biggest hurdle coming into this game?
Go for it, Carl.
I mean, this being her fourth time playing, I feel like we'll have people looking at her and be like, she's done this so many times. She knows how these games work. Like, we know she's good socially. And then I think that, and then George.
Yeah.
Literally, George Dubon literally just put it in the chat. Shani's biggest hurdle was George. I just want to say, like, as soon as I just need to make this known. As soon as I put Shani's picture up, this was the chat.
Hilarious. Love that.
Queen Shani, it is clear that Shani has got some love here, so I love to see that. But yeah, anyways, we need to talk about what our struggles are. Sorry, fam. What do you think her biggest hurdle was going to be?
I think, George in many ways than one. I think George, because it could be her downfall, being pent up on getting him out. George, because maybe George doesn't feel comfortable around Shani because he knows she's going for him, so he probably goes for her first. George, because of that, he starts whispering in other people's ears. He starts like, if I'm George, the first person I'm worried about is Shani, and I'm immediately playing it offensively rather than defensively. So I don't want that. Like I know it's great for to see where these guys end up going with this revenge arc or whatever. But I actually think the smartest thing to do is work with George at that point, not go for him, or at least use that as a ploy. But definitely, yeah, I think that could be her biggest downfall. And as well, how much clearly she's incredibly loved by the public. I think it's a huge for a tribe filled with a lot of egos as well. Like for example, if I'm Janine or if I'm Sarah and I see Shani walking around absolutely killing it, maybe I don't want Shani there anymore. Maybe I want to be the new person that's the social queen or whatever. So I don't think that's more of an obstacle than George's issue, but I think George is the biggest obstacle.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I do think George is going to be her biggest obstacle. I don't even in a sense think it's like her own thing, because I know she said in the promos that, let me find it here. James kind of said it. Shawnee's player promo said, "I'm not playing with tunnel vision except for getting revenge on George." That's the only thing she's kind of looking at and going like, "No, I will be looking at you, George." So I think that rivalry is going to start up quite quickly. So yeah, I agree that that's going to be her kind of, that's what's going to be her biggest obstacle. In the chat, Gabe says her social game reputation might be too dangerous to be kept around. I'm trying to find more. The problem is, from James, the person she would work with best is George, but there's too much beef there. Kind of Ruggles again says revenge can be a dangerous gameplay. And then after that, it's a lot of things that I want to talk about here. And it's to do with the World Tribe, because you've got Joe saying, "Hear me out. A merge alliance comprised of Shani, Kirby, Poverty, and Saray." If you can add Sarah, I'd absolutely love that.
100%.
I would be all day here for it. I feel like Shani's biggest obstacle is also going to be the pre-merge. I think that is going to be her biggest, because you've got the AU tribe who kind of know what she's like. So that's where I think she's going to struggle. If they do the pre-merge for a little bit too long, which I'd be very shocked at, she could get sniped. I think she can survive the first couple of votes, but when you've lost a couple of players, I think that's where maybe she then needs to get into a merge with the World Tribe to then get those connections.
If Shani makes it to merge, they're all stuffed. You do not let Shani make it to merge. It's as simple as that. I don't want Shani making new friends with a bunch of extremely good players on the other tribe. I'm saying this from now on record. If Shani makes it to merge, you're all done. I will say that from now. He will make it very far if she touches merge.
And that is on record. That is on record, people. Feras has said that, and I actually think Feras is pretty true. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're lying.
Yeah, I kind of feel like George and Shani are going to just like be pushed together, like have to work together by default, because like thinking about it and after talking about it, like I don't know, like who else really is going to like go out of their way maybe to really want to work with them? Maybe Kirby and George, but like I feel like they're kind of just gonna have to figure something out, the two of them, just to make it to merge together, or for them both to make it there. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
I feel like they might end up having to. Yeah,
there is a chance. So the chat is going off. Just for Feras. Joe agrees with you 100%. Ruggles also says that the jury will love her, imagine her speech. So yeah, and I think James kind of agrees with, she would definitely work better with the World Tribe. I agree with James. I don't see her working with David. honestly, I feel like if the two people we see go first are like people like David and George, I know 100% Shani somehow has a way of that, because you've got the two people that wronged her. Like if she gets her way and gets those people out early, then I do feel like you said, Feras, she is going to go deep. So yeah, it's a wild one, honestly. Right, I know we've talked about everyone. Is there anything else people want to bring up in terms of the discussion of these players with the AU tribe before we kind of wrap things up here?
Yeah, I mean, do we even think they're going to lose a challenge to even have to go to tribal?
I think so. I think they will. If I have one crackpot theory, which is a shout out to Survivor Stockwatch, I think they will lose a challenge on purpose. I don't see the AU tribe not wanting to go to tribal. I feel like if they win at least the first two challenges,
100%.
guaranteed they throw the third challenge to do something.
Yeah, that sounds like Australian Survivor.
Yeah.
Queens, aren't we?
Drama queens. It's great.
It's lovely.
Why we love Australian TV. Well, I do anyway. Yeah, Feras, is there anything else you kind of feel like we haven't touched on in terms of the AU tribe?
Just a very, very specific thing. I think for people with lesser connections, so I think people like Kirby, maybe George as well, I think a huge factor is not knowing roughly when merge is going to be, and not knowing if there's going to be a tribe spot, and not knowing these very, very important bits of details to how you would want to play. So, for example, if there's only about 4 tribals until merge, and I'm a Kirby, I am a lot more valuable all of a sudden, because in a tribe of 7 and a vote of 1 person makes a big difference, especially when you don't have an alliance. So I think that's a huge factor for seeing how hard someone like Kirby would play, or George. Knowing that, Kirby could be the flip vote. She could be the reason why someone goes home. So knowing how far away merge is makes a huge difference to how hard you want to play or who you want to piss off, because you actually don't know when merge is. We don't even know when tribe swap is. For example, even if there will be one, exactly. So like I know when I was playing my season closer to like halfway time, I knew, okay, you know what, I'm going to play a bit harder, because if I do stuff up, I know there'll be a big merge soon. I can there's a lot more connections I can make. So not knowing that piece of information for someone like Kirby, George, or anyone else is huge. That a lot of people aren't thinking about. I do think this whole season will be revolved around who can make the best TV and who can look the best in front of everyone. If there is any season to show the world why you are the best player, it's this season. So that's why I think people are going to be 100% extra with everything they do.
I couldn't agree more. And I just want to bring up Ruggles in the chat. Yeah, usually you can work it out when merging, kind of no-lins, etc., because Australian Survivor does do great TV, which is undeniable. But I do agree. I think with how different this season is structurally, with the amount of players, the amount of days, they're not going to know when anything is happening, purely because of just because it is unpredictable. No one's ever done this before. We don't know how they're going to set it up. So I completely agree with you.
Even simple things like, how do you know how many people are in the jury, so you can make sure to be extra nice to certain people at a certain part of the state, like of the game. In the beginning, I'm not too worried about looking like an idiot or like a dickhead to like some people that I voted out, because I'm never going to see them again. But this, again, not knowing how many people are in the jury, these things make such a difference to how you're perceived in your social game.
Yeah, because you don't know if it's only going to be 3 pre-merge, 5 pre-merge. Everyone's going to be on the jury. Like we don't know these things. I'm excited. Cara, have you got anything else you wanted to say?
That is, I could see them potentially maybe. Is that too many people to all be on jury? I feel like that would be.
I feel like if they did a final 3, no.
Oh. Ooh, do you think they would do a final 3?
Well, this is the thing. I know that Survivor AU normally just does a final 2, but I could for some I feel like we can't rule out the option for a final 3. Just because of how unique this season is, I feel like they will do things to be unexpected, especially for AU players. I think they're going to try and not give AU players as much of an advantage because they're playing the Australian version. I think they're going to try and do a couple of changes to throw them off as well to kind of keep the AU players on their toes.
I also think a final 3 in a season like this could be perceived as more exciting because it's more legendary players that you want to possibly win. So I think them doing a final 3 instead of a final 2 would make sense for Survivor.
Yeah. And I think Gabe just said in the chat, Australian Survivor loves to keep players guessing if it's a final 2 or final 3. He does final 3 there. I completely agree. Right. Got anything else to say, Cara? Sorry.
Oh,
no.
I had a hypothetical question.
So
not really related, but hypothetically, what do you think it would have been like if it wasn't Australia all on one and the world on the other? What if they were mixed? How do you think that would change things?
Ooh. I think connections would play a bigger part. I think connections would be more of a downfall. Where you start the game, I think where the connections could be an asset for you, straight away, if you're mixed and people can figure out you've got loads of connections over there, you've got a couple of connections on your tribe, that definitely hurts you more than it would because it's blocked off, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Spot on.
Yeah.
I think, it'll come down to the connections. But you know what? I feel like if they did something like that, the game would be more real. I think the game would be a lot real. Whereas if you're just in a comfortable tribe or your Aussie legends that you've played with, you're playing it up. You're doing it. You're having a bit of fun with it. But once you mix with people you've never played with before, never heard of before, but are somewhat perceived as incredible players, I think they hit reality a bit more if it was a mixed tribe.
Yeah. Channel 10, for when you do AU versus the World Season 2, remember that note. But when you have Feras on. So Gabe just put a really funny comment in the chat going, more player phone bills would have been higher from pre-gaming, which I think is really true. I'd be interested to see all of that knowledge. Right. As we gear up to kind of wrap things up here, I want to do a rapid fire predictions. So we've got each person, and I want your kind of just gut prediction on where you think they're going to place. And I'll give you the categories. You've got early out, you've got middle of the game, you've got end game, or you've got kind of winner/finalist. And I'm doing that based of what we've got on our Instagram. So just to quickly plug our Instagram. We are running polls on Survivor Now podcast out there. And whenever people do their little previews, we've got those predictions. So please subscribe and follow us there to make your voices heard there. So are you both ready?
Yes.
Okay. So remember, it's early out, middle of the game, end game, winner, finalist. First person, Janine. Feras, go.
End game.
Cara.
Ooh, I was going to say early out.
I'm going to go with end game. Okay. Sarah.
Mid.
Oh, sorry. Feras.
Yeah, middle.
I have her on my draft, so I'm going to go with winner/finalist. Why not?
With that.
I'll always root for McQueen. Okay, next person is George.
Winner finalist.
I'm so sorry, Cara. Early out.
Don't put that out in the. Don't put it in the universe.
So sorry.
I think end game.
Okay. Next person, Kirby.
Finalist, winner, baby. I got my girl.
I'm gonna say middle.
I'm going to go with middle as well. I feel like kind of, but like end middle, deep middle, not early middle.
Yeah.
Okay, next person is Luke.
Oh,
Is there something in between early and middle?
No. For Luke, I'm going to go with end game. I do think he's going to do a deep run.
I actually think finalist.
Okay.
I think someone like Luke, if he makes it to merge again, he's very similar to Shani in the sense that he's got a lot of social like gaming in him.
I think I'm gonna go middle.
Okay. David.
Early.
Yeah, I'll say early too.
I'm going to say early as well. I do think. Sorry, David. Prove us wrong, but yeah, early game. And finally, Shani.
End.
So winner finalist or end game? That was for you first.
Oh, me? Sorry. End game.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I think end game.
Yeah, not winner final. Yeah, end game, I guess.
Yeah.
I
agree.
agree.
I agree. I loved
Love
that.
that was
Thank you guys. That was so fun. I'm intrigued to see how our kind of predictions do. But I quickly just want to ask Cara, because we did our little fantasy draft, which I'm going to put up right there. Here are our picks. Obviously, you picked George from the AU tribe. Are you having, after this conversation, are you having faith in your team?
I am. I will never second guess George.
I have Queen. I've got my Queen mum, Sarah, and I think she's going to do me proud. So always. And just a reminder for people, we did do our fantasy tribe. As you can see, we've got Nina from Blood vs. War and Heroes vs. Villains, and the dynamic duo of Logan and Laura from Brains vs. Brawn 2. They came and joined us as well. Feras, I'm very intrigued to know if you were to join this draft and pick two people, who would you pick?
Who would I pick? I would pick Pav. And I'd pick Luke.
Okay.
Not Kirby.
Nice.
I like no, so I think altogether Pav is seriously so dangerous. I'm looking at Laura's one. If I had to choose one team, I would choose Laura's draft. Laura's draft 100%. I would choose.
Fair. I did think that's where you were going to go, even though I've got my draft right there, but it's fine.
Sorry, Oli.
Sarah. And Lisa. To reply to you that you picked George. You may connect. It's fine.
George is gonna win. Just wait.
We will have to wait. Well, you will have to wait and see October 17th when this all falls out. We are going to wrap things up here. I just want to firstly say thank you, Feras and Cara, for joining me. This has been so much fun. Thank you for everyone in the chat as well. I've got to do a little bit of a plug for loads of things that's coming up. Obviously, we will have another live stream to do the World Tribe. That date is TBA, to be announced once we're figuring it out, because we are going to try and get maybe some world guests to come and join us. But I just want to remind people of some other stuff that we've got going on. Just a reminder, we've got a Patreon going on. And if you want your name scrolling right here while we do the end game, like Valerie and Jake and Ellie Katana, I think I said that right. You can have it all down. We've got some amazing content going on there. Obviously, we've got our 49 coverage that is coming up soon, so make sure to keep an eye on all of that. And let's not forget, we've got a couple of things that have happened as well. We've got Surviving Our Pride in the Tribe, where for any of you AU fans, I did get to speak to Paulie from the latest season. He was an absolute delight. And go check that out. So many amazing people from AU and the world all having a conversation. And right now we have got a little mini series happening called Babes and Buffs. I am there with Tori, who's hosting it. We're going through all the US seasons, naming some iconic women and making a dream tribe. It's been so fun. We've done 2 episodes so far, so go check those out to see who we've done. And we did have, for the first episode, we did have the lovely Caroline, your bestie, your final tribal council mate, join us for the first episode. So please make sure to join that. And I do just have to plug, we are got some exciting things going on. Reality Now is coming. We're expanding. We're going to be doing more than just Survivor. So keep an eye on that in 2026. Subscribe to Reality Now podcast on Instagram and YouTube. That will be coming up. But that is everything that we've got going on now. Once again, Feras, thank you so much for joining. Are you ready for the season? Are you pumped?
So I'm going to be the most annoying person online. So if anyone gets annoyed from that, please unfollow me because I'm going to be unbearable for this season.
I've already got you on X and I am ready to literally retweet everything.
I'm going to be so messy, Ollie. You wait. You just wait and see.
Sorry. The question is, you're going to be messy. There's a difference.
Yeah, no. Love
new information here.
Oh, you're too good. Oh, you killed me.
But no.
I'm so excited.
But no, Feras, thank you. You know you're welcome back anytime. We'll try and see if we can get you on for maybe a recap. And Cara, as always, it's lovely to see you, and we will see each other again for maybe the world preview. But once again, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time.